Imagine a world where animals can express themselves well, just like people do. Well, you don't have to imagine anymore because of a gorilla named Koko, the gorilla who blurred the line between reality and fantasy. Although there are many films and TV shows created that featured talking primates such as Bernie the gorilla from Zookeeper, Cheechee from the original Dr. Dolittle, and Ape from George of the Jungle, Koko here is the real deal. She did not just amaze people for being able to communicate, but also because of the things that she said. Koko did not just do what used to seem impossible, but also left a terrifying message for the world before passing away. United States Independence Day had an even more special meaning with Koko's birth. On the 4th of July, 1971, the world welcomed this special baby gorilla at the San Francisco Zoo. Just a bit of trivia. Other popular people born on the same day as Koko are Andy Cregan of the band Bare Naked Ladies, American baseball player Brendan Donnelly, and Steve Ruckin of Anaheim Mighty Ducks. Given the name, Hanabiko, she proved to be worthy of the name which is Japanese, that means fireworks child. This is in reference to the celebration of the 4th of July, which features extravagant firework displays. Indeed, she was an awe-inspiring firework, born to amaze the world. However, nobody knew that back then. She was given the endearing nickname Koko, and Koko proved to be a special gorilla as she was growing up. She learned sign language, which she used to communicate with people, displayed a fondness for kittens as she played with them, and even treating them as her babies, made people laugh at her jokes, learned how to drive a car, and even grew her vocabulary to more than 1,000 words. Also, just like people, she went through different kinds of emotions, had thoughts about death, and even stood for an advocacy in behalf of her fellow gorillas. Koko had a rather difficult childhood. She experienced rejection at such an early age. What made it worse is that she received that rejection from her own mother. She got sick because of malnutrition and had no choice but to be taken away from her mother so that she could get the proper treatment. Therefore, she was with her mother for just a total of about 4 months from the date of her birth until December. It took a while before she got better, but what's important is that she was finally allowed to go back to her mother. However, when she got better, her mother didn't want to do anything with her. Her mother, Jacqueline, practically disowned her. So, as a baby, she had to live in a cage with strangers, with gorillas that she doesn't know, that is. Just imagine being in her shoes, not getting the love and protection that you need as you were growing up. As a child surrounded by other gorillas that she doesn't know, the cage she was in just got a lot colder, figuratively. However, it turned out that fate had something wonderful in store for her and that she was destined for greater things. Koko reached the turning point of her life when she met Francine Patterson in 1972. She saw Koko and decided that she would take care of her. Back then, Francine, also called Penny, was a Stanford University student studying to earn her PhD. She was researching the way great apes communicate. She resolved to teach a gorilla how to communicate using sign language. It was quite challenging, especially because during that time, gorillas weren't considered to be as intelligent as other apes. Gorillas aren't popular with scientists too, since they are considered as too aggressive. However, Penny decided to take the risk with Koko because she sees something special in her. Later on, she made a breakthrough with her study and changed how her fellow scientists see gorillas. Her study had become an integral part in the foundation of other studies about the intelligence and capabilities of primates among many other animals. There is a famous saying that the first step is always the most difficult. This is what happened to Koko too. She had difficulties at the beginning of her training. What made it even more difficult is that Koko doesn't like being touched. Therefore, Penny cannot hold her hand to guide and demonstrate how to position Koko's fingers when she was teaching her. Penny had to use repetition to teach Koko sign language. She had to show Koko a specific object and then how to refer to it using sign language. She had to do it again and again until Koko finally remembered. It didn't take long before Penny noticed that Koko was actually an exceptional learner. The first word that she communicated to Penny was the word drink, by showing the sign where she had one finger to her lips while all the others were bent. Later on, Koko and Penny's relationship deepened into a genuine friendship. The time came when Penny took Koko from the zoo and moved her to a trailer that was turned into a special laboratory at Stanford University. This is to get her away from the noise and all the distractions in the San Francisco Zoo. This will allow her to focus in learning sign language better. In her trailer laboratory in Stanford University, she enjoyed having a room to herself and the freedom to go anywhere within the trailer laboratory. Of course, she's welcome even to her friend, Penny's room. There was a cage on standby if ever it was needed for Koko's safety, but it turned out that there wasn't any need for it. She was well behaved the whole time. When Koko turned 3, she had already mastered the sign language for about 200 words. Not only that. In addition to her rich vocabulary, she also became capable of expressing different kinds of emotions. She would show happiness at the sight of her favorite toys, she would show anger when she sees her toy broken, and she even laughs at her own jokes. Koko hates bathing. So when Penny showed her pictures of an ape who was just about to take a bath, she told Penny, "I cry there," in sign language. In another instance, Koko also displayed empathy for other animals. Once they showed Koko a photo of a horse with bridled mouth. Koko told them, "Horse sad, teeth," in sign language. What amazed everyone was that she doesn't just know how to communicate, but Koko even has a great sense of humor, a display of advanced intelligence. Once, she signed and told herself that she was a good bird. Then, she told everyone that she could fly. Later on, she admitted that it was just a joke. Also, she playfully pulled Penny's hair once and apologized to her using sign language while laughing. This just showed how Koko was extra special. Not only can she communicate, but she also exhibits the essence of the theory of mind, which is the knowledge and understanding of how others have thoughts and emotions too. She also understood how these thoughts and emotions may be different from one's own. There were also times when Koko did not know how to sign particular objects. This is because, although she has an extensive vocabulary considering that she's a gorilla, it's still quite limited when measured against the number of existing words in human vocabulary. In such cases, she uses her existing knowledge to come up with a name for the object. As they say, necessity is the mother of all inventions. She gets it from the names of other objects that are similar to the unknown object. Once, she saw Penny's ring, but she didn't know what it was called. However, she knows finger and bracelet, and essentially, the ring looks like a bracelet, but is small enough to wear around the finger. Therefore, she called it a finger bracelet. Smart, right? It's not something that one would expect from a gorilla. Although Penny stated that Koko uses the ASL, or American Sign Language, there are some signs that Koko can't execute because of her stubby fingers. Considering this, Penny called that slightly modified version as Gorilla Sign Language. In addition, Koko's linguistic ingenuity showed when she called a mask an eye hat, as it hides the eyes. She also signed drink and no when she saw an empty cup. These newly created words show that Koko is not just memorizing words, but understands what the words mean. She also processes knowledge and applies it to actual objects and situations. Some people do not believe in what Penny is doing. Some even accuse that it is some kind of animal cruelty. They think that Koko is being trained like some circus animal, and they do not approve of it. However, the evidence does not lie. When Koko is all by herself, she does what other kids would do. She would get her dolls, play with them, and even talk to them through sign language. These conversations are often lengthy, even though it's one-sided. Aside from her dolls, she would also try to talk to other animals using sign language. However, almost all of them doesn't know how to use sign language, so when they do not talk back, she goes back to talking to her toys and other objects. This is the opposite of what circus training does. In circus training, the animal acts on a signal by its trainer. It's like blind obedience, wherein the creature doesn't get to use their own minds and make their own decisions. In circus training, the animals are purely dependent on their trainer. On the other hand, the effects of Penny's study on Koko allow the gorilla to actually learn and process the knowledge that she gains. Subsequently, she applies what she has learned through making sign language at appropriate times and situations. There was a conflict between Penny and San Francisco Zoo as well. The zoo allowed Penny to take Koko to Stanford in the condition that she would return her in a few years. This is because the zoo believed that it is their duty to breed gorillas through Koko. However, Penny and her team started the campaign Save Koko because she believes that if they take Koko back to the zoo, she will get depressed. The team was able to raise $3,000, and with a generous donation from an unnamed benefactor, Penny was able to afford sole custody of Koko. Koko's IQ tests showed results that are low if measured against standards for humans, but high if measured against the standards for animals. Her drawing skills match the level of a 4-year-old child, which often feature her best toys and different things in her surroundings. She has an active love life as well. Her boyfriend is Michael, another gorilla who has learned a few words of sign language. This makes them compatible as they would be able to talk to each other. However, it seemed like Koko isn't interested in mating with him whatsoever. Aside from the couple, there was another gorilla named Ndumi, and the three of them became known as the first animals who could communicate using human language through the use of sign language. Aside from Michael, she had other human crushes as well, including one of the workers. She has this favorite spot where she can see when that specific worker passes by, and she would blow him kisses. It is also important to remember that they used the sign language that they learned in meaningful conversations. There was even one time when Michael took Koko's doll and tore off its leg. She got quite upset and called him a dirty, bad toilet. Talk about a creative way of using language. Another moment in Koko's life where the boundary between being an animal and a human got blurred has something to do with kittens and the extraordinary relationships that she had with them. In 1984, she asked the caretakers for a birthday gift, a cat of her own. So, what the caretakers did was take several stray kittens and bring them to Koko, so she could choose which one she wanted as her birthday gift. Koko checked each kitten closely until she found the one that she wanted, a grey kitten with no tail. She also chose a name for her kitten, and she gave her the name All Ball. Koko became just like a real mom to All Ball. She took really good care of him, carrying him on her back, giving him hugs, and even attempting to nurse and breastfeed him. Considering her size, people are amazed at how she was so gentle with All Ball. She was always so careful with him and made sure that she didn't hurt him in any way. However, no matter how careful she was with him, it wasn't her size that caused her to lose him. Later that year, he got out and was accidentally hit by a car. Scientists were quite surprised at the impact of All Ball's death on Koko. When they told her what happened, she was in shock. She froze and seemed to be unsure of how to process this new information. She didn't say anything, and she had this blank expression on her face. Then, she started moaning softly. It was the same sound that gorillas make when they feel intense sorrow and grief. She used sign language to tell others how she felt. With furrowed brows, she made signs saying bad and sad. She used sign language to say sleep by pressing her hand against her chest. Repeatedly, she made signs saying sleep and cat, as if trying to teach herself to accept the fact that her friend, All Ball, has fallen asleep forever. Just like a human being who has lost someone really special, Koko continued making moans of grief for the next few days after All Ball passed away. She didn't want to play or do anything at all. She would just repeatedly make the sign for the word sad. This ability to feel, accept, and process grief from losing a loved one made Koko more like a human than an animal. After a few years, she had other kittens to take care of. When she turned 44, she got a couple of kittens. She got a black one whom she named Miss Black and a grey one whom she named Miss Grey. Koko's gentleness took the internet by storm, as videos of her gently caressing the kittens went viral. The stark contrast between her size and her gentleness with the kittens touched the hearts of many. Aside from being smart, there are other interesting things about Koko. She is very interested in the human chest and would often ask to see it whenever she interacts with other people. In 2005, there were 3 lawsuits filed for such a curious request from Koko, and reportedly, employees were obligated to do it. Another proof of Koko's intelligence was the mirror test. In this test, a mirror is placed in front of the subject, which is in this case, a gorilla. Usually, other gorillas think that their reflection is another gorilla. Sometimes, they would try to interact with their reflection. However, Koko, as exceptional as she was, immediately recognized herself. In fact, she loved seeing herself and would frequently check her reflection in the mirror. Films are another thing that Koko loves. She would often watch Tea with Mussolini, which is about an orphan who was Italian and grew up surrounded by American and British women. Perhaps she can relate to the movie as she herself grew up with gorillas that she doesn't know. Although she loved the movie, she would turn away from the screen whenever the scene of the boy saying goodbye to his family came up. Another film that made an impact in her mind was Jurassic Park. She loves watching it, but it felt all too real for her that she refused to play with her toy dinosaurs after watching the movie because they scared her. This myriad of emotions that Koko shows in different situations further proves that she is no ordinary gorilla. Koko's popularity continued to grow, and she even made it to the cover of National Geographic magazine with All Ball in 1985. The photo shows All Ball curled up like a ball in her arms. It was taken by Dr. Ron Cohn, who was also a part of Penny's team and co-founder of the Gorilla Foundation. It perfectly captured what the world loved about her, her gentleness and sweetness in contrast to her size. The photo touched the hearts of the people even more, and it became one of the most popular covers not only of National Geographic, but everything that has ever been published. The photo changed the way people see gorillas forever. They learned that despite their size, gorillas could be warm and loving even to other species such as cats. In addition to National Geographic, Koko also appeared in the best-selling picture book entitled Koko's Kitten. Popular people even came to see Koko, such as Hollywood celebrity Robin Williams, who had such a warm encounter with Koko caught on tape. The video shows Koko gently putting Robin Williams' glasses on, asking the actor to tickle her, and the two of them make funny faces. Both of them look like they are having fun. Koko remembered him so lovingly that when she heard the news that the actor passed away in 2014, it made her rather sad throughout the day. Other celebrities that Koko interacted with include Betty White, Flea of the band, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Sting, Fred Rogers, William Shatner, Peter Gabriel, and Leonardo DiCaprio. Koko, a celebrity by her own rights, appeared in documentaries such as Koko, a Talking Gorilla in 1978, A Conversation with Koko in 1999, and Koko the Gorilla in 1999. Koko also appeared in TV shows namely Seinfeld, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, and The Big Bang Theory. Aside from communicating through sign language, Koko also learned how to use a particular computer wherein she can type some words or symbols and the computer will read what she typed aloud. She also learned many other things such as holding a pencil or a pen, drawing, writing some simple symbols, and playing musical instruments such as recorders, flute, and harmonica. The last one surprised the scientist because before Koko did it, learning how to play a musical instrument was considered impossible for primates, not because they were not intelligent enough to do it, but because of the way they were built. Scientists believe that these animals' respiratory system structure prevents them from playing wind instruments. However, Koko proved them wrong. Death is yet another interesting concept for Koko. One day, one of her caregivers showed her a photo of a skeleton. Then she asked Koko whether it was dead or alive. Koko made the sign language that says, dead. To further check what Koko thinks happened then, they asked her what she thinks happened after a gorilla died, and she answered that they went to a comfortable hole. After answering, she blew a goodbye kiss. Her advocacy for nature started in the final years of her life. It seemed like she was trying to save other gorillas that lived in the wild. She would leave messages to people like, "Nature is watching you." Her messages about taking care of nature made people think. A few weeks before she turned 47, she quietly passed away on the 19th of June, 2018, while her boyfriend Michael passed away in 2000. Koko died in her sleep. Although she was relatively old that death shouldn't come as a surprise anymore, the people who took care of her, especially the people of the Gorilla Foundation, were still deeply saddened when she passed. The world mourned her death as they remember her as the model of how interspecies friendship is possible and how beautiful it is. In the official statement of the Gorilla Foundation, they expressed their grief and stated that Koko's legacy will live on with the advancement of human understanding about the cognitive and emotional capabilities of gorillas. The foundation was created to support Penny and her team's work with Koko. Before passing away, she left everyone a message. "I am gorilla. I am flowers, animals. I am nature. Man Koko love. Earth Koko love. But man stupid. Koko cry. Fix Earth. Help Earth. Nature see you. Thank you."